Hey everybody, welcome back to Willson Builds. If you're new here, I'm Zach. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're returning from a previous video, I really appreciate all the support. It really motivates me to keep making these videos for you guys. Before I get into the video, I just want to thank you guys who have reached out to me on Instagram. I've had about almost about 24 messages now from people on YouTube finding my Instagram. So if you guys ever want to reach out, you need a clear photo of something we've done, I'm totally happy to do that for you guys. You can find me on Instagram at the same handle below, Willson Builds. That's Willson with 2 L's. So let's get into the video now. We're going to be working on the 1929 Ford Roadster today. We're going to try to permanently put in the lower firewall as well as work our supports that we built in a couple previous videos to the firewall, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to form out some floors and get them in today. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know how far we're going to get. I don't know how long the video is going to be, but hopefully we can get it all done today. All right, so we just took my step bit and drilled a bunch of holes. I just got to take off the header now and just go down into this lower portion and drill some more holes. And then we'll take our firewall, put it back in, get it clamped up, get it all sort of where it needs to be. And then we'll start visualizing where we have to weld first. And hopefully we can get it all in one go. So essentially what we just did was we just closed the gaps as there's two pieces of metal kind of pinching together. Sometimes a weld can bring them apart. So when we welded it, we made sure we clamped it, and then after the clamp there was some gaps still. So we just close them.
I made one of those filming mistakes. I built kind of my floor pan where my feet are gonna go up to the firewall, and I pressed record, but turns out it was already recording. And I pressed not record. So this was not recorded. Anyways, it was super simple. It took me about, I don't know, 20 minutes to kind of put this together. I did a 1/2-inch square tube at the top and just did flat bar down to our what we already had. So it's super sturdy, but I'm super happy how this turned out. It's super comfortable on my feet. And now we can really get our brake pedal assembly and brake lever in this kind of area and see where we need to push, where it needs to kind of sit, and where it's going to be comfortable to brake. That being said, this is a very small car, so it's going to be, I know, even the comfy position still going to probably be uncomfortable, but that's just, I guess, a Roadster. So we're going to start putting this on the frame now and kind of maneuvering it around a little bit and seeing where we need to go, and then we will start building kind of our floors around it. Alright guys, so I made a brake pedal assembly mount out of cardboard, and it kind of sits on the frame like so. And I brought it to my friend Lee at LG Speed & Custom, and he made me the steel version of it. So we can take this now. I've already drilled a bit of a pilot hole there, but I'm going to drill one a little bit higher because the brake pedal assembly needs to sit about, I don't know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch higher, so I'll have that. I might even cut a slit here so I can kind of move it up and down. But that being said, it'll sit kind of nicely like that. And then we can just weld this to the frame and then figure out where our brake pedal, everything else needs to go. Take this piece now and just plop it on the frame and hopefully get the orientation for our pedal. So there's a common issue I'm running into here, and it's getting the reservoir top off. And that being said, I think I can still get it off, being there, and have it, you know, off. So if it's like right there, that's totally fine. I can make a little access port here, and just because it's a little bit underneath this doesn't mean we can't get it off, which is good, because then we don't have to change much for the structure of what we have already. But we do need to figure out where it's going to go once we push it. So I know you don't ground a brake pedal every time you push it. That's important to know. But it is important if you did ever run out of, you know, I've had it where I've been driving one of my dailies and I broke a brake line and it went to the floor, but it still stopped. So I think it's important to kind of have that availability to push it to the floor. But then again, once we bleed it and stuff, it's never going to actually go to the floor. And I'll have an e-brake and so on and so forth. That being said, I'd like to get it as close as I can to pushing it through the floor, and then we can kind of modify it from there. All right, let's hop in here. I don't know about you guys, but with a lot of my hot rods, I know you're supposed to drive with your right foot, but even in the 55, I drive with both feet. I usually have my left foot on the brake and my right foot on the gas. So I don't think that's going to change much in this scenario. I'm just going to grab these vice grips. So we got to figure out where we want that brake pedal, where it's comfortable. And right there is typically about fine. All right, I mean, that's not terrible. And like I said, we can edit this brake a little bit by cutting it and kind of bending it the way we want to. That's pretty normal when you're setting up a brake. And we want, you know, obviously good accessibility for our master cylinder, but I think that's a decent spot for this brake. What I'm doing is I'm going to be adding to this section right here. I think that's the best way to do it. I think we can drill holes, or maybe we can utilize holes that we already have. Come on. All right, got that all back in now. Gonna go put it back on the frame rail and see if we can make some magic. Okay, through the steering wheel, down the hole. As you can see, it's just a little bit kind of off-cantered, and it goes into the firewall. Not a huge deal. All right, so you can see it's just hitting there. So I made the little 2 marks. So we're back in. Let's see if we clear. Perfect. Perfect clearance. We are really good there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that there. So it's not going past the floor, which is good. Obviously, when we set this up for the final time and bleed it, it's only going to go so far. So when we have that all set up, we can cut this and then we will weld our brake pedal on. All right, so with the installation of our brake pedal assembly now, I'm gonna pull out the seat and start with our floors. I'm gonna start with the back half just because it's a little bit easier. Then the front half, we'll kind of probably go to the midsection, and then we'll figure out our transmission tunnel, and then our footboards or wherever our feet will go. I don't know what you call those. Footboards, floor pans, I don't know. Where your feet go, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for the floors there. We can now start tracing out where we need to bead. And I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it at this point. I like it, you know, semi-even. So I'm gonna do one from right at the corner here. All right, guys, so we're heading back to Lee's place. We're gonna use his plenishing hammer on our floorboards, just for that little back section we did yesterday. And then we'll kind of brainstorm what else we have to do with the kind of the frontal floorboards. But anyways, Lee's nice enough to let me use his plenishing hammer, so I'm just heading down there now so I can pre-stretch before we bead roll. All right, guys, we just got back from Lee's. Pre-stretched all the spaces we need to bead roll on these back panels. Okay, so this is fitting in here really good. I'm super happy I, watch a lot of YouTube and Motor Trend, because I wouldn't have known to pre-stretch it without, I think I first saw it on Iron Resurrection, Joe Martin doing it. And he's been, kind of an idol of mine since I was a kid. So it's cool seeing him how to do it. And then kind of further looking into it, I saw it on Make It Custom with Carl, and then Bennett's Customs with Jordan Bennett in Australia. So it's kind of cool seeing those guys do it at such a high level. But I'm super happy that, Lee had a machine I could borrow and let me kind of do my thing on it. So I'm gonna go roll the other end and we'll put it in, and then we'll start drilling for our spots and hopefully get this part of the floor done. Okay, so all the spot welds are done. We have a couple tacks kind of up here. The floor is super solid, no rattles, no nothing. So I'm super happy how it turned out. Now we can kind of move forward, try to do a little bit here and a little bit for where our gas pedal and brake pedal are gonna be, as well as a transmission tunnel. So I think the next step will be thinking about a transmission tunnel, kind of going from our drive shaft tunnel to probably that midsection that we've put in there with that flat bar. All right, so we're just experimenting now for our transmission tunnel. And I believe I can make it pretty straight and narrow. I do have a boot here with a clasp around it, so we gotta make sure it's at least that wide, which it is, which is totally fine. And obviously the boot goes on there and onto the shifter. So, that's good. Okay, so we got our first cut, and it's, oh yeah, it's looking really good. So it's gonna sit right there at the bottom, be a nice strong structure for us. And not too worried about the shifter linkage, it's still above it. So that's good. That's the highest point where the shifter will be in park. So yeah, let's go cut the rest and we'll tack them in. All right, so now that we have our center console kind of piece, I think the next piece we're gonna do is our footboards, just because when it comes flat into here, we don't have any weird angles if we do this one first. So that being said, I'm gonna get on this one here. I'm gonna speed it all up though, so we're not like, you know, a 2-hour video. And yeah, so we're gonna start that now. We're gonna reuse, again, our templates we used for the back piece here and start basically just building over. I almost forgot to put the center piece in here once we got our brake pedal in, so I just had to, I made it even. I just had to ground down a little tiny bit to allow the brake pedal to kind of not rub on it. But that's all ready to go now, so I'm just gonna quickly weld that. All right, now that's all welded in, we can put our footboard back in, see how it worked out. I'd say that worked out pretty good. Nice. Obviously not the cleanest. I mean, I only have a death wheel to take this out. I don't have any shears, but I think that's gonna be more than okay. All right, spot welds are in on the floor pan. The tacks and spot welds are in on the middle piece. Now, last but not least, we can go to the sides and the floor pan. All right guys, so we got the pans all out now. I got some ideas of what we want to do for bead rolling. Obviously this will be kind of our hatch for our brake reservoir, and kind of one bead roll down the middle there, one up here. So I'm gonna take this to Lee's tomorrow because it's getting pretty late now, and we're gonna use his plenishing hammer again. Luckily he's letting us use it again, and then we'll bring it back and start bead rolling. All right, so we just did all our pre-stretching at Lee's place. We can take our pieces now and start beading them. I just got to firstly pull out my bead roller from the corner I kind of shoved it into. All right, so there's a little bit of manipulation to be had still, just kind of bending out the warps with my hand. That being said, we can quickly do that and then mark our holes so we can do our spot welds, and then we can get to welding and finishing this all up. All right guys, what seemed like hours of welding is done. I can now get in here with my grinder and just beautify a little bit of these welds, and then we can essentially call it a day. right, so all our welds are grounded down that we wanted to ground down. I just did the kind of the ones that would protrude when we put our underlay down. So I'm not too worried about the spots or the inner kind of welds we did, because we will have that sticky kind of Dynamat in here and kind of covering everything. So not too worried about stuff, especially back here and back here. I did do the middle just in case, but not really worried about anything else. Okay, so I'm just gonna put the steering wheel back in just for convenience, get it out of the way. And then I'm gonna put my seat back in and kind of see how our feet are feeling. All right, so let's hop in here. I think there's an easier way to do this. I'm just gonna get low. There we go. Ooh. Get the door closed here. Little reminder, I'm 6'2", so I have long legs and long torso, but this feels great. I mean, this feels way less crammed than it did. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, with it in park, I can bring my knee over, but drive is a little bit different. It's kind of here, which is totally fine. Have enough room for a passenger, have plenty of room for a gas pedal. The brake feels fine actually. And yeah, it feels quite a lot bigger than in here since I put the floors in. So I'm not too sure why that is, but yeah, it feels comfortable. I can bring my feet, move my feet around. I thought I would be kind of stationary with my feet, but I can move it back. Can still get the brake with my right foot. We'll have the gas. So yeah, that's all done, and I'm really happy how it turned out. All right, guys, I'm gonna call the video there. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Your support really means a lot to me. It helps me build the channel and keeps me motivated to keep making content for you guys. Secondly, I'd like to thank Lee Grant for letting me use his plenishing hammer and basically helping me finish my floors, because if I didn't have the plenishing hammer, I wouldn't be able to bead roll and we'd be very behind. So Lee, if you're watching this, thank you very much. That was a big job. I'm very happy it's done, and I'm very thankful I had the experience to actually build my own floors, but it's not a job I'd like to do every day. That being said, hopefully you guys really like the video and really like the content I'm putting out. If you guys do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, as it helps build the channel. And if you see something you like, don't like, something I can improve on, something you want to roast me about, just do it. That's totally fine. It motivates me to keep making these videos for you guys. But anyways, guys, I just want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Willson Builds.